everyone. My name is Dan. I'm going to show you today a widget that I built that helps me remember Chinese characters. If you've ever tried to study Japanese or Chinese, you know that a big part of the difficulty comes from learning the characters. There's thousands of them. Some of them are quite complex, so it can be a big challenge. The way this widget works is to prompt me with a character. So it's showing me this character here. And then I try to remember what the character means. In this case, I do remember that this is a character which is pronounced "s" and it means control, manage, or operate. Take charge of, control, manage. So here is the pronunciation, the meaning here. And based on whether or not I got it right, I select one of these responses. So in this case, I'll select good because I got it right. If I had no idea what the character was, I would select bad. And if it was really too easy, I would click there. And the point of this is that the system will adapt so that it shows me the characters I'm struggling with more often than the ones I really always get right. Click there. Do this again. This one is going to be G, which means reach, extend. So I just go through it like that, and each one of these prompt and responses is a repetition. I try to do about 50 reps per day, which takes about 15 minutes. If I do this over the course of the year, that comes to 18,000 reps. And there's about 2,000 of the core characters. So I should be able to get to 9 or 10 reps per character. This button just shows me the stats that I've achieved for the last year. So today I've done 66. I usually try to get to 50. Now, one interesting aspect of this system is that the response page doesn't show just the meaning, but also shows a story. For example, this character is Summer, and it has a story that is basically about, in summer, there's 100 days, and the best thing to do is just walk slowly because it's so hot. Now, this character is composed of two constituent parts. The top is 100, and the bottom one is walk slowly. So this story is a way of linking together the meaning of the constituent parts to the full character. And this is a really powerful technique because the human brain is very good at remembering stories and images. Now, I didn't invent this technique of remembering characters by using stories. It was invented by a guy named James Heisig, and it's called the Heisig Method. This guy Heisig came up with the Heisig Method. And his ideas have been very influential in education for Chinese and Japanese. So I took this idea that this educator developed and I put it into my software. And this really highlights a central theme of the philosophy of widgets. There's many scholars and researchers and gurus who have written tons of ideas about learning, productivity, organization, dieting, finances. And many of these ideas are good, but you can't interact with them. They're abstract, they're inert. You can't touch these ideas. So the widget philosophy says you should take these ideas that are abstract and turn them into software, which is concrete, and which you can interact with. So that's exactly what I'm trying to do with this widget. And actually this widget illustrates another aspect of the philosophy, which is the do-it-yourself aspect. There's been tons of people who have written software to help you study languages. And one of them that's really popular is a tool called Anki. Is a open source spaced repetition software. And I tried using Anki to remember the Chinese characters, but I really didn't like it. I felt it was too complicated, it had too many features. It was too hard to use. That's partly because Anki is a totally general memorization tool. You can use it to memorize Chinese, you can use it to memorize guitar chords, you can use it to memorize medical information. So I felt it had too many features, it was too hard to use. And so instead I built this widget that has exactly the features I want, nothing more, nothing less. And I think that once you experience how great it is to make software for yourself, that make exactly the features you want, exactly the user interface you want, you'll never want to go back to any kind of off-the-shelf software after you experience that. Now I've gotten a little bit philosophical here. Let me now go back to just a couple of points about the implementation. So here is the SQLite table that controls the widget. So I'm going to show you the schema for the two tables. There's two tables. One is review log, and one is the palace item. So the review log has basically the results of these repetitions, and the palace item table has the characters, the meaning, the story, and any extra notes I wanted to add. Let's go back. I'm going to go back to the start here. So I deleted the repetitions I did in the last couple minutes of this video, so this should send us back to the start here. All right, so this is the first character I saw at the beginning of the video. And we'll do a couple. Here's a good one, here's a bad one, here's an easy one. And now we'll say select star from review log where I'll say order by ID desk limit 10. And so you can see these three, I'll do limit 3. These last three were easy, good, and bad. Those are the ones that I just entered. So these IDs here are the palace item IDs. So let's say select star from palace item where ID equals 42. So this is S. You can see here S is the take charge of control, and then this is G extend reach. Maybe some people are listening to my pronunciation and choking. If you're a real native Chinese speaker, it may be that you don't like my pronunciation. Here's the one for Hong, red. Okay, so that's how the data works. And I'll just show you the total. Select count star from review log. So I've done 9,000 reps since I started using this tool, and that's really been transformative for me. I've gone from basically having a lot of difficulties with not standard, but the learning beginner intermediate Chinese texts that I've been reading to really being able to just tear through one of the basic texts. And here is the count of the palace item. So I'm at exactly 600 characters. So there's 2,000 total. It does take a while for me to create the stories. The most time-consuming part of this is actually to create the stories that link the meaning of the constituents to the full character, and it takes a while for me to develop those stories. If I kind of half-ass it and do a dumb story that doesn't actually work very well, then I don't end up learning the character very well. So that does take me a lot of time. And I have a little bit of additional user interface to put in the characters and search for them, add new stories, add new characters, that kind of thing. But that is a story for another video. Thanks for watching. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions.